Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fallout 4, and we're back at the start. We're back at Lexington. This is where I made my first Fallout video. Oh, sorry, this isn't Lexington, this is Concord. Yeah, anyways, this is where I made my first ever Fallout 4 video, and it's kind of funny. Anyways, today I wanted to talk to you about something that's kind of very important to me, honestly. And that is, we've done it. After years and years, Fallout 4 is now a really good RPG. Now, let me get this straight. Fallout 4, since like day one, since its release, which was pretty darn okay, you know, it wasn't the best, but it was pretty darn good. There weren't any glaring issues with the game. It wasn't a Fallout RPG. It was a open world, explore and shoot everything up kind of game, while following a relatively pretty linear path and story. What do I mean by that? Well, it's an open world game. It is an RPG. However, the story used to be, and I say used to be for a couple of reasons that I'll get into, but the story used to be really linear. Your origin was you're a war veteran, World War III veteran, I was going to say. You're a war veteran, and your family, you know, your wife gets killed and your child gets kidnapped. And that sort of, the trauma of that and the effect of that sort of stuck with you throughout every single quest, throughout every single dialogue, and yeah, you know, it wasn't great, but that's what you had to deal with. For that reason, this wasn't exactly what I would call a RPG. It was fairly linear, but you don't exactly get to roleplay a character. You get given a character, and then, you know, okay, some traits make him different, and, you know, you can respond differently to different events, and you can solve problems differently and all of that. You know, it is the sort of open nature of the game, but Fallout, to me, always was about making a new character and having it not fit into the world, but having the world fit around it, right? If my character, in this case, is an NCR Ranger, yes, that actually works now, but we'll get to how we got from one character and one story to this in a bit, but to me it was like this, right? To me, I'm now playing an NCR Ranger that came to the Commonwealth to investigate the Institute and the synths and the disappearances of people. Does the NCR have better work to do than this, considering, you know, the Legion and the Dam and everything? Yes, which is why they only sent one person. They were kind of curious, right? That's, you know, as unlikely as that might be, it's actually not that unlikely, but as, you know, ridiculous as your story might be when you create it, the world then needs to fit around it. That is what Fallout is, right? And you have this in Fallout New Vegas, you have this in Fallout 3, you have this in the previous Fallout games as well, but those are from ages ago, so they're not really worth mentioning all that much now. And this used to be a prevailing problem for years, basically. Can I not remove the marker? Thank you, okay. And this used to be a problem for years, and the development team and the writers realized that this wasn't necessarily their finest hour. And the reason I say this is, even though we don't have any official statements like this, in the DLCs, they've completely changed how they approach the game. Far Harbor and Nuka-Cola give you unprecedented freedom when it comes to your character and the world fitting around your character. I'll give you one example. In this game, the traits you have, in Fallout 4, the traits you have, the perks here, do not affect the quests and the world almost at all. The only perk, that does affect, well, actually, that's a SPECIL score that affects it, right? It's not exactly a perk, but the only thing that affects quests reasonably enough is the charisma stat. the more of it you have, the more chances you have of persuading someone and passing dialogue checks. That's all. Having Lady Killer, occasionally, I think once or twice, gives you a special dialogue option. But no, it just gives you a bonus to passing dialogue checks with females, or members of the... with women. None of the other things, like Heavy Gunner, Lone Wanderer, Iron Fist, Pickpocketing, these don't give you special dialogue quests. These influence the gameplay, but outside of quests, and outside of talking with people, not really. Far Harbor, they do. Oh boy, they do. In fact, very early on in the game, you get to meet a bunch of cannibals, and if you are a cannibal, they cooperate with you. Isn't that freaking awesome, right? New Vegas and Fallout 3 used to be full of those things. It's only now that Fallout 4 is getting those things with the new DLCs, right? It got those things since pretty much the game's done. But Far Harbor released ages ago, and Nuka World, okay, sometime after that, but, you know, this isn't in 2021 or in 2020, this was a couple of years ago. Why is it that the game's now a fantastic Fallout RPG? Well, mods. There is a series of mods that just add to the experience. One of them is probably the one that you're going to notice the first here, is the different weapons mods and the different ammunition types. There's, I think, literally like 100 ammo types, and you need to actually manage and fiddle around with all of that, which, you know, is not for the faint of heart, but, you know, it works. Next, there is a slowdown time, or bullet time instead of VATS mod that I'm using. But those are all just for the gameplay, right? They make the game more complicated, they make the game more, they added more depth, but what about the story? Well, there are several mods, including Start Me Up, which is probably the key one here, that change the core fundamental story of Fallout. Oh yes, Start Me Up allows you to pick a new character and pick any backstory for it. It also works tremendously well with other mods. As you can see, this is the NCR Ranger armor mod working with the other thing, right? And you don't even have to install any add-ons for it. They just communicate with one another perfectly. Yeah, it's really awesome. It's just completely hassle-free. You just download all of them and then put them in the Vortex Mod Manager. It sorts everything out on its own. And that's the beauty of it. Now, the story's changed. Now I'm here to report a kidnapping that I've seen in a vault, because I went to investigate the vault, right? And, okay, you still led down the same semi-linear story path. You're still going to have to go to the memory den, you're still going to have to go to the things, but in the memory den, it's not going to be your memory that they're going to be probing for the death of that woman and the kidnapping of that child, because they're no longer your family. You no longer have an idea of what happened there. Now it sort of just skips over that and gives you an alternative way of completing that thing without using the actual memory den. Furthermore, when you talk to people, although it is a little bit janky, one of the sort of main concerns that I had was the sort of predetermined storyline is so interwoven into every conversation that, for example, as soon as you meet Piper, she calls you Blue. Because you came out of a vault. And that's okay. I mean, Fallout 3 had you coming out of a vault, but in Fallout 3 it didn't rub your nose with the fact that you came out of a vault. Initially, yeah, sure, you're a fish out of the water, but later down the line, no. Like, just no. It doesn't make any sense. And here it doesn't make sense in the mod as well, because I didn't come from a vault, I came from the frickin' NCR, right? Well, indeed I did. And thus, the game gave me a simple option of saying, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not from a vault. To which Piper said, oh, okay. Okay, it is a little bit janky, and you can notice that it's been cut from other lines of dialogue, but at the same time, who cares, right? At the same time, I much prefer the opportunity to tell her that no, I'm not from a vault, than have to be sort of forced down the same storyline and the same path, and playing the same character over and over again. Another mod that I don't use for, well, because I don't think it's really that important, but there's also a mod to shut up your main protagonist. He doesn't speak his lines anymore. And the reason this is important is, well, if all your characters sound the same, you know, every single one that you make, the NCR Ranger, the lone survivor from the vault, the raider that you made a couple of months after that, maybe, if they all sound the same, it's going to be a bit dull and a bit problematic, isn't it? It's going to be immersion breaking. Well, there's a mod to fix that as well. These are just like some mundane, simple examples. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of mods on the Nexus that just improve immersion and make the game more fun, more open world, and more of a Fallout RPG. In fact, one of my favourite ones is the, it's extremely popular, I'm probably not telling you anything new, but it's the Settlements one, where you can just set up a system, effectively, where your settlers build up their own outpost. And if you're inclined to, you can leave the game to auto-manage the entire plot. Everything. I'm doing that with the Starlight Drive-In. Is there a city for that? They're called city templates, right? So I know Hangman's Alley has one, I'm going to do it there, where it basically takes a design someone else made and spent hundreds of, if not, you know, more hours building that design and making it look really nice, adding all sorts of details and so on, and it just builds that for you over time. You need to give them resources, you need to assign a leader to the settlement, but you're not going to be the one spending hundreds of hours detailing it all. Someone else did it on the Nexus forum and uploaded it, and then you can use his template and just put his world there. And there's obviously dozens to choose from. It's really great. Really, really, really great. And it's stuff like this, the tiny little additions, like having your character not say the lines anymore, should you wish to, and the bigger mods like that, and the ones that add literally hundreds of weapons and pieces of armor and stuff. They've sort of opened the game up. They've allowed you for freedom, role-playing, and to sort of escape the somewhat linear path that Bethesda set you on with the release of Fallout. Now, years later, after a lot of hard work, ladies and gentlemen, we've finished Fallout 4, and it's now ready to be played. I understand how that sounds. I mean, like I said, the game originally wasn't bad, but it didn't exactly feel like Fallout. I found myself going back to New Vegas, believe it or not. And I've played a little bit of New Vegas recently, and I haven't finished the whole main storyline and everything, but I've played a fair bit as like an NCR Ranger character, hence the inspiration for this. And it was very fun. And the sort of freedom that that game gave you sort of made me, I don't know what to say, like...
Pleasure to see you again, sir. Are you ready to depart?
Oh, hello. No, you continue your work, please.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh yeah, this is one of the follower mods. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Those are bloody awesome as well. Anyways, be that as it may, finally the game's a proper Fallout game, you know? And it's sad. It's sad that we had to wait for so many people to put so much of their lives into making the game, you know, just straight up better, I suppose. but it is what it is, you know. At least we're there now, if nothing else. Anyways, this has been a very, very brief video, and I wanted to sort of share this enlightening moment that I found, and I've been keeping an eye on Fallout sort of over time, and it's always been lacking stuff. I mean, these mods have been here for a while, but they needed refinement, they needed tuning, they needed more depth, especially the Start Me Up mod, which changes some of the later quests and dialogues in the main story. It needed a little bit more refinement, and it's there, you know? Obviously, they're going to get updated and perfected later down the line. The modding scene is extremely active even nowadays, but, you know, it's finally here. Sorry. The only thing that's missing currently is a Bottle That Water mod, and you have no idea how much that is noticeable for survival mode, but, you know, when we get that, no, I'm kidding, you know, it's always going to be like one more mod and stuff like that, but truly, the game's now extraordinarily impressive and very stable too. This is, I think, around 20 hours in. I had one crash in 20 hours. Hell, no mods, one crash in 20 hours would be pretty darn impressive, and then I have like, I think around 120 or something like that installed. Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for listening to me ramble on a little bit about Fallout, because it deserves your attention now. If you played Fallout back in the day, or a couple of years ago, and sort of have mixed feelings about it, I'd say give it another shot. Or if you haven't played it in a long time and like the game, I'd say give it another shot, because it's changed for the better. With the mods, obviously, and with the DLC. The Far Harbor and Nuka-Cola are truly amazing pieces of DLC. And just the sheer freedom that they give you to make a character however you like is good. For those of you that maybe don't know, one of the options in Nuka World is to become a raider. Yeah, you can raid the settlements you helped and build. And you help build and help sort of raise up and all of that. You can raid them and take them over for the raiders. Amazing, right? Unthinkable when the game initially released, but there you go. And now add on top of that the new origin stories for your character, the new mods, the sort of all the different little details and stuff added to the game, and well, Fallout is now amazing.
I carry the highest quality alternative medicine products you can find in the Commonwealth today. Interested?
Yes. Unfortunately, the expanded dialogue mod doesn't work with you, but alright.
Is chems all you've got?
No, not chems. I use plants and scrap to create preparations that heal and support your entire body. Traditional medicine cures you today. Alternative medicine can improve your overall health and vitality forever. It's true.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, I'll get to this in my own time. Won't bother you anymore. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and give this game a shot now. It's way better. Obviously, just thanks to the amazing...
Scared to death. When you walk up to him, you can see him.
You're distracting me. Thanks to the amazing modding community.
What do you do?
Have fun. Take care. Bye.